So with the finale of Zombieland Saga, this week's episode did something that not many series can do, where it leaves the viewer off in a way that's actually pretty satisfying. If we never got any more anime, this would actually serve as a pretty conclusive and satisfying enough that everything feels solid enough that we're not left hanging completely. Of course, there's still plenty to explore, but we could leave this and be 100% okay. But it also leaves room for so much more, like so many more seasons. But of course, this series is probably going to get at least one more season, if not more, because idol anime is a moneymaker in Japan, and of course, with the popularity both in Japan as well in the West, this is a series that, from a business move, it would be foolish not to make. And this episode was really good. First things first, I do want to make a quick mention, something that only I'm going to care about, but seeing Kotaro just say good morning, I really feel like he would make an amazing alarm clock. Like, just seeing how he responds to these characters, just imagining if you had him to wake you up in the morning, you would definitely not want to hit that snooze button because you'd be wide awake. I just found that funny at the beginning of this episode. But this week's episode, I actually think it did everything that it could possibly do in a one episode time frame. I do think that maybe we needed another 5 minutes to flesh out Sakura before she kind of like tried again, but I do think for the 10 minutes that they gave her in this episode, it did work. It just felt like it wasn't really fast paced, but it wasn't slow paced. It was just like, you could tell that if it had an extra 5 minutes, maybe an extra 10 minutes, there could have been a bit more there. But in terms of how they got her to kind of try again with the brilliant use of Tai, it was more than acceptable. But this week's episode, I really enjoyed. Like, they managed to kind of sprinkle in everything Zombieland Saga has done up to this point. You got the comedy, you got the over-the-top reactions, you got the drama, you got really everything while answering some pretty important questions. One of the most noticeable moments would obviously be Kotaro, the manager, and learning that he went to school with Sakura, and it explains why he was kind of so obsessed and a bit more supportive of her versus the other girls. And I think it also shows why he has such a love for idol music. I mean, I'm sure we're getting another season, but if we didn't, I think you can kind of piece together what probably happened. The guy at the bar probably had some sort of connection to the afterlife in terms of how to bring people back from the dead. He probably explored online who would make a great idol group from past idols, but also just past characters from history, and he kind of built this group from pretty much nothing into what he would consider a super group on top of bringing Sakura back because he obviously had a crush on her. I think that's probably the direction Mappa wants to go with it. That will probably get explored in like a season 2 whenever we get it, which I think is probably a safe bet. But I like how they did briefly, but it's something that I think if we didn't get at least in this season, people would really be asking, like, what is the point of the manager? Of course, we still don't know his true end goal and motives, but still, it's enough to keep you content here. A lot of people, myself included, wanted to see some Tai and Yuguri backstory, but this episode is a great representation on why it's okay not to have them. And I know it sounds weird, like, of course, whenever we get that second season, we probably will see those backstories, but if you look at Tai as a character, the charm is that she's the legendary Tai, and we have no idea why she's legendary. That's kind of the gimmick and what makes her so fun, but she kind of grew into this lovable, mindless zombie. I think it really shows in this episode with how she's kind of attached to Sakura because Sakura really pushed her and didn't treat her as a worthless object. She actually trained her to act like everyone else around her. And I think the over-the-top comedy and just how she was actually the big reason why Sakura did try again, I think it shows why not having a backstory for her was actually okay in this series. And with the Yuguri slap, it's another thing, like, sure, we'd love to see more with her, but I think with how they were very important for this episode and also Sakura's kind of redemption, it kind of makes you see like, okay, maybe we didn't need it for this season. Maybe we'll see it next season. Maybe we don't get it next season, but it's still like, you know what? As much as I wanted to see that Yuguri backstory, Tai was kind of a wild card. I didn't know if I really wanted to see a backstory for her or not, but still, I feel content. And that's something that a lot of final episodes can't get right. And with how they kind of explored all the reveals on top of bringing up all that comedy, it felt good. You know what I mean? It just felt really satisfying. You had a blast. It did everything that Zombieland Saga has done up to this point, and a little bit better in certain ways. Of course, the first half I would have liked a bit more padding, maybe another 5 minutes give or take, just to flesh it out a bit more. But in terms of how they executed it, it didn't feel rushed. It just felt like it needed a bit more time in the oven before we finally got it. But still, very satisfying nonetheless, and I really enjoyed that final performance. I mean, I'm sure people are going to complain that some of it was 3D. I still say the 3D looks pretty solid, but I do like how the entire idea of the show is like how all of them have poor luck, and Sakura was able to kind of pick herself back up because they would rather fail on stage together than succeed without Sakura. And I think it was a really beautiful moment, especially with Kotaro kind of starting to clap and getting them all back together. This was satisfying. It really nailed that Zombieland Saga charm, and I think most people, myself included, when we first started this, we were expecting a very funny show and nothing more because the comedy was so great. That was more than enough, but it really developed into an interesting character drama. We all want to see that Encore. Encore. I like the characters in the crowd there. We want to see the Encore. We want to see that second season. They'll probably do a second season. Hell, they'll probably do a movie like traditional Idol anime, but still, I feel really, really solid. I'm sure we won't see an announcement anytime soon. It'll probably take a bit. Mappa is a very busy studio, but I think it's pretty safe to say that we're gonna get a second season. Just because it is an Idol anime and the popularity, this shit prints money. Japan loves this kind of stuff, and we love it too after seeing how zombies and idols blend together so perfectly. But really, this was a great ending episode. Obviously, it's not going to be my favorite episode, but it's enough to make me say, like, in terms of what you could do with the final episode, in terms of at least answering and giving a bit of clues on how things came to be, this is good enough that if for whatever reason we couldn't get another season, I can still say and still recommend this as a very satisfying and wholesome show that, yeah, maybe we don't have all the technicalities on how things came to be, but if you look at maybe the Star Wars prequels, sometimes explaining those technicalities isn't a good thing when some people just want to say the Force can move things and zombies can happen. Of course, I do expect in season 2 that maybe we'll explore some mystical book or something like that allowed him to bring back the dead, but I don't expect very thorough explanations because thorough explanations with zombies just wouldn't make a good combination. But seriously, Zombieland Saga, been a phenomenal series. Honestly, I really enjoyed my time with it. It surprised me. This is definitely my hidden gem because no one knew what the hell this show was before coming into the season, and it blew everyone away, not just with the comedy, but the amazing character drama. Of course, I would like to see those backstories in the future, either in OVA, either in a second season, but time will tell where the series is going to go. But if this is all we had to get, this is a very satisfying and one of the best anime in this year. Let me know whatever you thought of this week's episode down in the comment section below. Your favorite moment, whatever you're feeling, let me know, and be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.